clear shift of paradigms of understandings that make new propositions about the use of that power in a new dispensation leads to vicarious abuse of power by whoever is holding it. It doesn't matter if you're black, yellow, green. As long as the codes of that power is not dismantled, you will just go there and do exactly the same. Look around you. I think you vindicate me in your poems. Huh? It is because a shift of power without the dismantling of the codes of that power makes everybody act exactly in the same way. So it is not surprising that one can enter the corridor of power and behave exactly as those people did before. So we can sit here and then do the same. In this new stream, modernization proceeds, but without necessarily following the Western values, but rather with a strengthening of core values from different traditions of knowledge, of living, and of livelihoods. It's about equal access as citizens of a nation and of the world into the mainstream society, with an emphasis on equality and the right to participate on an equal footing in a negotiating partnerships. This includes identifying and deconstructing the mechanisms of any form of assimilation or imposition of other cultures on others. It doesn't matter if it is the African one. If it starts to behave in that chauvinistic manner, it should be subjected to the same scrutiny. The same scrutiny we now accord, because when you are under oppression, the oppressive force, it carries the brunt of the light. The moral light is shown on that. But when we imagine that tomorrow I will be the one in power, I have to figure out what is it I'm going to be doing differently. In other words, it's a rapprochement of modern and older cultures, including modern cultures' older roots, each complementing one another and opening the possibilities of a viable future for humankind. The generative adult, or adults of the future, are seen as standing between the past and the future to be built, and looking into the future, that's making that crucial distinction between producing more offspring and producing offspring that are not crippled. The generative adult we contemplate in this new episode not only welcomes change, but brings something into it, creating socially viable work. I'd like to stop here. And if I have said too much, you keep the change. And if I if I have said too little, you pay the difference.
Professor Adora Hopper is definitely some food for thought, but I'm going to say, I'll buy you the Chardonnay tonight. How does that sound?
God, sometimes it feels so good to be completely alive, and so good to be around good people and to get something that completely takes you somewhere, you know, moves you. So when Prof was speaking, she spoke about the IMF Fox. So I thought, okay, let me just take that. I actually went on my own little tangent and thought about it. And thank you for taking me on that creative journey. The IMF Fox. So I'm Little Red Riding Hood. I met the IMF Fox. And I said, my, what big eyes you have. And the IMF Fox said, all the better to watch you with. And I thought, okay, that's confusing. Watch me. Then I said, oh, what big hands you have. And the IMF Fox said, oh, all the better to hold Adam Smith's invisible hand with, my dear. Then I said, oh, what big ears you have. And I was like sort of feeling sort of some relief, you know. I thought Adam Smith functioned on his own because of everything that I've been taught, but as we know, the hand is not that invisible in the real world. So I'm thinking, okay, goodness, big ears, I'm feeling, okay, this is a good thing. And the IMF Fox says, oh no, that's all the better to hear you with. So I'm thinking, oh, good, that's great. And this IMF Fox with a big mouth, if he's hearing me, then he's gonna talk for me, gonna defend me. And I said, oh, what a big mouth you have, IMF Fox. The IMF Fox said, all the better to eat you with. Globalized, globalized. Are you globalized? What does it mean to be globalized? Globalized. Globalization. Globalization is the realization of a new way to suck the African continent finally dry. That's why I deny this concept of a global economy that says, here, have democracy. Tune into DSTV and learn how we are living. This system is not giving me the tools I need to learn globalization. It's the new colonization. Without the whips and chains, but it does increase the gains of the people that once made us slaves. So easily we have forgotten what the martyrs were fighting for. Globalization? Okay, let me give you a clear demonstration. Let's make the world a global community. 8 families, very different realities. The Smiths live in a mansion. Their eye is on expansion. The Joneses are similar. Their income a little smaller, but they can still afford a helper or maid, as they choose to call her. Agnes, who is actually Mama to some, she's from the other side of town. Her and her husband, Sipho, and another family from next door, they wash and clean the floors, never getting a little more. They are known as cheap laborers, always running away from creditors. No, let me not confuse you with metaphors. They owe Mr. Smith, who now controls them with what he pretends to give for free. While they provide the resources, work harder than donkeys or horses, at the end of the month, it is rare that they will have any income left. And then we have the Nzepes, who enjoy the fruits, the apples and pears of BEE. You see, they jumped on the gravy train, or is it a gravy plane these days? They jumped on the gravy plane. They never complained because they lived their lives easy. This small fraction, they are the distraction because they project democracy and not the destruction that they are now too constructing. This educated, lucky few, among the easy things they do is create policies that are supposed to mend realities that they do not even experience. Are you getting a close look at this global scene? It's a little obscene. So I have the Smith and Jones family that are living it up easy. Then I have the Nzepes that are living large, bling bling, you know, living BEE. Then I have the Sithole and Lekhodi family that makes only 5 in our global community. The other 3, they make the majority. You see, they join the Sithole and Lekhodi family because globalization feeds on people that work cheaply. Globalization, it doesn't matter how you say it. It has no interest in my land's success. So globalization, take your ideas and policies and apply them where you created this idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Nomsa Mazwai. We now come to some reflections on going forward, and I'm going to ask Mr. Alan Zinn, Director of Canrad, to join me. While he's coming up onto the stage, just some background on Alan. They want to give you more? Alan was a Western and Eastern Cape political activist. He's the builder of the national non-racial sports movement in South Africa from the mid-1970s. He also served as National Publications Secretary of the South African Council on Sport, SACOS, for 4 years. He taught at Bethelsdorp Secondary School, where Mr. Raymond Huren, who would be receiving his honorary doctorate from the NNU on the 16th of April 2010, where he is principal, and during the turbulent 1980s. In the 1990s, he took up a Fulbright scholarship for postgraduate study at Columbia University, New York City, where he completed a Master of Arts degree in Social Studies and a Master of Education degree in Curriculum and Teaching. While in the USA, he taught in master's programs at both Columbia and Clark universities, focusing on multicultural education and managing diversity in the workplace. He has worked extensively in the NGO and donor-funded sectors, most recently in the province-wide Imbewu program for school transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Alan is presently Director for the Centre for the Advancement of Non-Racialism and Democracy here at the NNU. Alan, over to you.
Thank you, people. That's, you almost feel as though you still want to have some of that poetry lingering on your ear. The poetry of the speech and the magical words, from Nomsa. I want to just say a few things. I think we've had a lot of, food for thought. Prof. Hoppers has given us an outline, kind of contour of the roadmap that we have to follow, and I think there's some deep work, that we have to do. The VC has outlined the rationale, for the center. So I'm just going to be making a call to my colleagues here. But as I reflected over the weekend when it came to human rights, sort of to the day and where we have come from as a nation, where we are going to, what we are dealing with, there were lots of interesting articles in the newspapers. There were all kinds of things, and my partner in life gave me a book to have a look at, and it was Maya Angelou's a letter to her daughter, and I found that there was an interesting piece, and so I thought to myself, as we thought and we build in terms of the national sort of spirit in this country, we need to, there are certain things that we need to be aware of and to take stock of. So from one poet to another, I'm going to ask Nomsa just to give us this little piece. It's a paragraph as Maya Angelou reflects on the society in the States, and this is like 40 years later, after the 60s there, and here we are now, and we're having to take sort of stock. So over to you, Nomsa.
For the past 4 decades, our national spirit and natural joy have ebbed. Our national expectations have diminished. Our hope for a future has waned to such a degree that we risk sneers and snorts of derision when we confess that we are hoping for brighter tomorrows. How have we come so late and lonely to this place? When did we relinquish our desire for a high moral ground to those who clutter our national landscape with vulgar accusations and gross speculation? Are we not the same people who have fought a war in Europe to eradicate an Aryan threat to murder and